My name is Timothy White Eagle, and I'm a multimedia visual and performance artist. I make work that's all based in ritual. Well, a lot of my impulse to create work is to correct a discord in myself. I find that when I am doing authentic work that's about correcting imbalance in myself, people often relate to it and it becomes a universal experience. Way away! And as they sang thank you, the cracks opened wide and the water began to flow out from the watering hole. Way away! And the rivers began to form and flow. Well, I have a complicated history with Indian identity. I was given the title that I was Native American when I was born, and as I grew up I was Native, but I didn't have tribal identity. I didn't know what tribe I was from. And then when I was 20, I was told by the lawyer who had handled my adoption that I was White Mountain Apache. And for the next 30 years, I thought I was White Mountain Apache. And then when I did an ancestry test and I realized, oh, I'm definitely Mojave. About a year and a half ago, as I'd already started research on this project, I got a live birth report that gave me the name of my mother. And so then that established firmly that I'm Mojave, but I didn't know that. For 30 years I thought I was Apache. I wanted to create something that helped me connect with my ancestry, and I wanted a vehicle to help me ponder disconnection and reconnection. And the idea of Indian school really came forward when I found out that my grandfather, I found various accounts of his story of being forced to go to Indian school back in like 1910. And so then the two stories started to meld. My experience being adopted out into a white family in another state, and my grandfather's experience of being removed and put into basically what was a white training school. And then as we got into the research, and I started to understand more of how Mojave people relate to themselves and relate to the world, and I realized the importance of the Colorado River traditionally to Mojave people.
Timothy and I have been talking about the idea of this piece for over a year, maybe almost like 2 years. When we landed on the idea that this school is returning to the river, and that there is no right way to heal the wound, and there is no right way for Timothy to be Indigenous. There is no way that everyone is going to love and accept, but that like the school that is worth returning to, the place where you learn to be Indian, is to return to the river. When we landed on that, that was my little seed where I was like, I know how to do the show. The only way to find Timothy, where we find Timothy and where he can return to the river, is through that boy who goes to the Indian schools, right? So like I was like, that feels like Timothy's story to tell, and I know how to help him tell that story.
Text is being said, but what's beneath that we need to say with music? And I think Olivia is handling a lot of that in like the tonal realm with your instrumentation. I'm handling a lot more of the like environmental realm, and something we've been thinking about a lot is shifting through different realities, being displaced from the reality that he's known all of his life, and what does this environment sound like when he's taken out of his environment?
Music is, in essence, the universal language, and as best as Hatlo explains, is like you can say 1,000 words and then it's like sometimes it's just one note, and we don't know that until it's done and we're all under the same roof working together.
The opportunity actually at Guildhall to have them here, getting to make the show in conversation with the designers in a collaborative way has been really, really rich.
The fact that this residency really supports the artist and allows me to bring a whole company of 5 people out in a beautiful room to work in and a beautiful house to stay in. And so that containment allows for a really unique generative process, because you're not having to check out from here and then go home and then have a job and then go back to home. And in sort of the normal route of working when you're in your normal life is very different in a place like this, because you can really focus. I think if people walk away with one thing, I would want them to know that traditional Indigenous perspective is that there is a web of life and that we are all intimately related, not just to each other, but to the natural world. One of the most powerful things you can do is to say thank you.